The one, the only, Bencio
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Ideally speaking, as we continue with this interesting book, 10 Really Dumb Mistakes That Very Smart Couples Make, Torah-Based Guide to Marriage by Rabbi Tzion Schaefer. We're doing the second part of chapter 6 today. In the first part, we talked about communication, how important it is to a marriage, how women are very talkative, much more talkative than men. And if you can't communicate well in a marriage, you're not going to have a very successful marriage. The second half of this chapter focuses really on other parts, other needs of a woman in conversation. One is that she needs to be listened to. You need to sit there and listen for a long time while your wife tells you all her emotions and gives you all her emotional baggage. And don't interrupt her. Listen till the end. And then when she's done, you don't try to help her with her problems. You validate what she says. I hear, honey, I hear how difficult it was for you. It must be really difficult to go what you're going through. I feel your pain. I hope it gets easier for you. If you need me, you know I'm always there for you. You don't say, oh, you got into a fight with your coworker? Yeah, well, for such a reason, this is how you should fix the problem. Go to your boss. She doesn't want to hear that. She wants to feel validated that she was being wronged by her coworker, or if the child gets upset at her and causes her to have a terrible day. The child is throwing fits the whole day. She doesn't want you to hear how you could fix the problem. Why don't you offer him such treats? She wants to hear validation. That must be really difficult to go through this. He says at one point in this chapter that women use the word overwhelmed a lot. The women, married women, are overwhelmed a lot. Even non-married women say this also. I'm overwhelmed. He said he never heard a man say the word overwhelmed. This I disagree with 100%. I feel not just stressed. He says men feel stressed, nervous. I feel very overwhelmed. I have a wife and 4 young kids. I'm living in a small apartment. I am drastically overwhelmed. I work really hard on this YouTube channel. I spend my days giving shiurim. I basically a one-man show producing this channel, with all the graphic design and all the production and the editing. Editing is hard. Content, editing, when to post on social media, how to post on social media. There's so many skills I need to learn just to excel at this, and that's only half my day. I really have to deal with a wife and kids. It's not easy. I'm very overwhelmed. Women are also overwhelmed. But I'm going to tell you a secret because I read through this there's about 20 pages over here. Yes, it's true, but half true. When I was getting married, I sat down with my Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Yaakov Friedman in Beitar. He had a 2-part course for chasanim, for grooms that were getting married. The first part was basically he encompassed whatever it says into this book in 7 small steps. Obviously, he didn't go into greater details. He left things that some points the author talks about he left out. But he has 7 basic steps of marriage. And then the second half was basically a discussion about intimacy in marriage. It wasn't in great detail. A lot of the things I vehemently disagree with in real life when I found out what it really like. But there was one point in the first part where he spoke about, I think this was the first thing he said. He said that when you get married to a woman, you should be prepared that you're not getting married to one woman. You're getting married to 5 different women. 5 different women. It'd be nice to get married to 5 women. But you get married to 5 different women. And someday, he said it like this, some days on Erev Shabbos, you come back from work, from learning, and it's very hectic in the house. Your wife is overwhelmed. She can't handle it. So there's only a couple hours left of Shabbos, and she has to cook, and she has to clean and bathe the kids. So you say, she says, I'm overwhelmed, help me out. So you go and you say, okay, give me a broom, I'll start sweeping. And she gets upset, no, I don't need your help. Of course she needs your help. I don't need your help. I want you to validate my feelings, that I'm overwhelmed. Tell me, I know, it must feel terrible to be overwhelmed like this. So the next week you learn from your mistake. You come home, again, 3 hours before Shabbos, and leave the wife to take care of 11 kids by herself. And get ready and cook for Shabbos and get the whole house ready for Shabbos. You come in, and she's overwhelmed again. So you say, I got this. Last week, I learned from my mistakes. This week, I'm going to go ahead and validate her feelings. Must be so difficult. You're going through a difficult time. And then she gets upset again. She said, I want you to help me out. Take a broom. Sweep. I know you don't know how to bathe the kids. I know you don't know how to change diapers. I know you don't know how to clean. Just take a broom and sweep up the kitchen. I know you don't know how to cook. I'm ad-libbing a lot of this stuff, obviously. So he says, you can't read a woman. They're emotionally, have an emotional spectrum, different times or different people. And I walked into marriage with this in my mind. I even wrote it down. I brought it in a folder to my house when I got married. And what I realized is that it's not true at all. It could be true. But if you do one thing, and one thing well, none of this applies. You'll be married to one woman, I guarantee it. Most of the time, she won't be overwhelmed. She won't tell you she's overwhelmed. She's not going to need you to listen for a long time, and she's not going to need you to validate herself. There's one way to basically preempt this entire chapter, and that is showing love to her. As he said before, women crave love. The reason women get emotional and start talking to you for hours, and they want to spend time talking to you, and they want to spend time, you want validation, is because it's in place of love. They're not getting enough love in their marriage. If they're not getting enough love in their marriage, okay, at least my husband is listening to me. It's painful. You got to listen for an hour, 2 hours. They're telling you their whole day, what they're going through. And he's telling you, the author's telling you in this chapter, be patient, don't interrupt. Studies show people can't listen for more than between 7 to 17 seconds. Don't interrupt her. Let her speak to the end. And then don't try to fix her problems. Validate what she says. It's not true if you're showing her a lot of love. And I don't know. I didn't read the whole book. I don't know. He's probably not going to talk about intimacy so much in marriage. I think he probably discusses it briefly. I did give a whole lecture series about marital intimacy. And this is where I think it needs to be noted that if you have good marital intimacy, and part of having good marital intimacy is having good communication. Because in order to communicate, you have to be able to communicate, feel comfortable enough to communicate, to make sure that both people, not just the wife's needs are taken care of, the husband's needs are being taken care of in the bedroom also. Because even if the wife's needs are being taken care of in the bedroom, but the husband's not, the wife will know that, first of all, and she'll feel like you're just doing it for her. And she won't feel loved. She wants to be equal. And second of all, you're not going to be a happy husband, and you're not going to be able to provide the time in the bedroom and the caring in the bedroom that you would if you were happy and you're getting out of it what you wanted. So it's very important for both people to be happy. In order for both people to be happy, you have to communicate well in the bedroom. If you can communicate in the bedroom, you can communicate about anything, because that's the most private and embarrassing thing there is to communicate about. If you communicate that, you have no problem communicating anywhere else. That's why I said this whole book in the beginning is basically a waste of time if, right, you have marital intimacy and you have good communication. If you have good marital intimacy but you don't have good communication, so you have half a marriage. But usually you're not going to have good marital intimacy unless you have good communication. So you really need those two things. The rest of fighting and the rest of not getting along, 98% of the time is just an excuse, is a pretext for getting into a fight because the woman doesn't feel loved. She doesn't feel loved. The way to make her feel loved is in the bedroom. It's called making love. That's the way you show love. The way you make love, you create love like that. That's the best way. Now, it doesn't mean to say you shouldn't spend time with your wife outside the bedroom. Of course you should. Every woman is going to want to go out to restaurants once in a while, take a walk, some people, play a board game, sit down at the table, discuss things. But it's not going to be an ongoing process. She always needs that. Because as long as she feels, we're doing Shulchan Aruch. I'm about to give, after this, a shir on Siman Reish Mem in Shulchan Aruch, which talks about marital intimacy in Aruch Chaim. Some of the halachas are really crazy. And I feel bad for people that take literally what the Shulchan Aruch says. The Shulchan Aruch made a huge, colossal mistake over here. colossal mistake about the most important thing in life. Right? The most important thing in life is your marriage. And the most important part of a marriage is intimacy. And the Shulchan Aruch, I'm sorry to say, butchered it. Even I did the book on marital intimacy, and he himself, at the appendix in the book, he questions the Shulchan Aruch, because he posited that marital intimacy is a positive thing. From the Shulchan Aruch, it seems that it should be avoided at all costs. It's only, under when you must, just for the woman, and it's completely wrong. It's completely butchered the whole concept. So it's very important to realize that. But again, if you have that love, and it's not just in the bedroom, also, you should go around, give hugs to your wife. Physical contact is very important, even outside the bedroom. You should spend time, play games once a week. You don't have to go out to dinner or to go out to breakfast. I recommend breakfast more than dinner. It's cheaper, it's more fun. You don't have to go out once a week like the author says, but the woman has to feel love. If she feels love, you get her flowers once in a while, you buy her chocolates once in a while, you give her a regular hug, physical contact in the house, spend time, once a week with her, whether it's playing a game or watching something together or some sort of interaction where, she doesn't have to tell you her whole life story. She's not interested in telling your life story. What the author's taught in this chapter about women trying to tell you all their problems, and he even mentions that he says that his wife used to ask him, I can't find this right now, but whenever my wife asked me for advice, she was never happy with my answer. It was as if the moment I walked in the door, my IQ dropped 80 points. He says when he used to give advice to Bachrim, to young men, unmarried men, they would all listen to him. They would never question him. 20 years later, they would say, that was a wonderful piece of advice. I still use it today. Well, his wife, she never wanted his advice. It took him about 10 years for her to get it. My wife was never happy with my advice because she wasn't asking for advice. She was asking me to listen. She wanted to share issues or problems that were going on in our world. I thought she was presenting a problem for me to solve. It took me a solid decade to figure out that she didn't want me to solve her problem. She wanted me to feel with her. She wanted me to relate. She wanted me to say, oh, wow, I understand how you feel. I'm so sorry you feel that way. That must be hard. The reason it took me so long to understand this is because I'm a man. Men don't work that way. If a man is upset, he doesn't go around the dorm talking to everyone about his problems. A husband needs to learn how to listen to his wife. It doesn't come naturally to men. They're used to problem solving. They're not used to staying quiet and hearing all out another person's feelings and emotions. This is new for men. So, and then he says, here are some rules for being a good listener, etc., etc., etc. There's no need for any of this. Most women have emotional baggage. They do. But the emotional baggage is just to elicit love from their husband. That's what they want. They want to feel loved by their husband. If you give her love all the time, and there's very different ways to give love, in the bedroom, outside the bedroom, physical contact, spend time with her, go out to restaurants, go out to hotels with her. Not every day, not every week, but show her that you're the number one priority in her life. Treat her like a queen. Show her that you love her. If you could do that, she's not going to feel the need to always sit down and unburden herself about her life. If she has something to talk to, maybe she'll ask you a question. My wife asks me all the time for advice, and she wants my advice. She doesn't want to make a decision herself. She asks me to make the decisions about things that go on in the house, what to do with the kids, how much medicine to give them, when to take them to the doctor, how to put them to sleep, bathing. My wife asks me about everything. She wants my answers. That's what a man does. A man makes good decisions, and your wife wants those answers for you. She's not asking to be validated. She doesn't ask to be validated. She asks to be loved, and validation and to be validated and to be listened to is just an excuse. It's just a pretext for love. She wants the love. Give her the love, and you want any of the problems. And like I mentioned earlier, my rabbi told me that you're going to marry 5 different women. Yes, if you're not married to any woman, right, because you don't show her the proper love, then you'll be married to not even one person. You're not being a person. She's not going to be a person either. She'll be a disconnected, looks like 5 different women. She's not even herself. She's not herself. I see this in women. I see in my community. Women who their husband did not show love to them. They even say, I've heard them say it, my husband does not know how to show love to me. And it results in a very woman who's jittery, who's not herself before she was married, very, nervous around their husband, nervous laughs around their husband. You can see it. There's different types of laughs. You can see wives that really laugh because they really enjoy their husband's jokes, and there's nervous types of laugh. Hopefully, people will be able to realize the difference between those two. You see it in couples. You can look at them for 2 seconds. You see how they might be comfortable talking, but they're definitely not comfortable around each other, even in public. People try to hide it, to mask what's really going on inside the house. No one knows what's going on inside someone else's house. But the truth of the matter is that you have to go ahead and show love to your wife, and they won't be jittery. They won't be 5 different people. They're one person. And this is where I think the author digresses a little in the wrong direction. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. See you in the next one.